it's Nina with Walla Stamping. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to be sharing a card with you today. I don't make a whole lot of cards, but I do enjoy making them. So this card is yummy. It just makes you hungry. I wanted to create this ice cream cone card. I don't know why I woke up thinking about it this morning, so I decided to do a chocolate one. And as you can see, I've got a couple of techniques going on here where I've done some sponging with some dark and some light inks, and then I've done some speckling on the ice cream itself to make it look like it's got maybe different flavors or things inside the ice cream. And here's a technique that I've seen recently that I really think is cool looking. It's called ghost stamping, where you stamp the same stamp but in a couple of different colors and you offset it just a little bit. So that's really a neat technique that I want to share with you. And I wanted to make this ice cream cone pop off the cover of the card. So I'm using the Tasty Treats Specialty Designer Series paper, and this one I'm doing with Whisper White and Watermelon Wonder, because I think that that combined with the chocolatey colors just makes that ice cream stand up off the page. So I've done a chocolate one. The one that I'm going to share with you today is going to be vanilla. So before we get into making the card, let me share with you out of the Occasions catalog the Cool Treats Suite. It is so adorable. I love everything in here. There's washi tape, there's sprinkles, there's a Peekaboo Peach Ombre ink pad, there's the Frozen Treats framelit dies, and then over here you have the Tasty Treats Specialty Designer Series paper, and then there's coordinating cardstock, and this is the Cool Treats stamp set. So you can tell by looking at this page, it's on 32 if you have the Occasions catalog. There are some really adorable things that you could do with this. Perfect for a birthday party. Absolutely perfect. I just want to point out to you that if this is something you're interested in and you purchase it as a bundle, which you would get the stamp set and the framelit dies, you actually save 10% by buying those together as opposed to separately. I don't have everything in this suite yet. I've kind of bought a couple things here and there just to try it out to see what I can do with it. But now that I've made this card today, I think I'm going to have to go back and buy some more things. If you need an Occasions catalog, or any of our catalogs for that matter, please reach out to me and let me know, and I'll be glad to mail one out to you. And also, if you want to look at them on my blog, I have a catalogs in the upper menu bar, kind of to the right hand side. If you'll click on that, you can actually view them on my blog. Let me show you what all you're going to need to create the card we're going to do today, which is going to be, did I say vanilla? I meant strawberry if I said vanilla. The base of the card is made from Pool Party cardstock, and this is cut to 6.5 by 5 1/4, so it's kind of an unusual size card, but I intended it to be that way. Then you're going to score it at 3 1/4 and fold and burnish it. You're going to need an additional piece that is 3 by 1, and that's going to be used to make the sentiment. Then some Whisper White. You'll need a 5 by 3 and a 3 by 1. The Sweet Sugar Plum, you'll need a piece that's 4 by 4 and 2 pieces that is 3 by 1. Then a piece of Pink Pirouette, this is 4 3/4 by 2 3/4. Then the Tasty Treats Designer Series paper. I've got a couple of pieces here that is just a square type of a pattern, and I have two pieces. One is 3 by 1 and the other one is 4.5 by 2.5. And then to make the ice cream cone, does that not look just like an ice cream cone? So cute. This piece is cut to 2.5 by 1.5. The sentiment that I used came out of the Celebration catalog. This is a freebie with a qualifying purchase, and this is called Any Occasion. So there's all kinds of sentiments. You can use it for birthday, thank you, just to say hello, wedding, birth of a child, all kinds of things in here. And then you're also going to be using your Layering Circles framelits. And while we're talking about this, I want to back up for just a moment and let you know that I have an extra set of these. I want to offer them as a free gift, and the way that you can win this set is by leaving a comment under the post for this project, and when you do that, you'll be entered to win one time. But if you shop with me and make a purchase, your name will go in the hat 5 times. So I will be doing the drawing March 15th, which is a month from today. I'm also going to be using the metallic enamel shapes. I've got one of those on either side of the sentiment here. You'll need your bone folder. We're going to be doing a little watercoloring, so I've got my aqua, what is that called? Aqua Painter, I think. I'll have the name on the screen. Then we have 4 inks today. Melon Mambo, Whisper White, Basic Black, and this is the archival ink, and Chocolate Chip. I have a block C with my sentiment on there. You'll need some sponges because we are going to be doing some sponging, some dimensionals, and then I'm also going to be using some multi-purpose liquid glue, the classic label punch, a 1/2 inch punch, and the Project Life corner rounder. And that should be all of the supplies you're going to need for the card today. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is get all the corners rounded on my cardstock and designer series paper. I'm going to give that a really good crease with my bone folder. So I'll be using my Project Life corner rounder, and I'm going to round the corners on everything. You can leave your square if you prefer, but I just really wanted this card to look different. So that's why I'm doing this. And you're going to do this to all of your cardstock with the exception of the piece that you're using for your ice cream cone, and then you should have several pieces that are cut 3 inches by 1 inch. You don't need to round those corners. And also the piece that is 4 by 4, you do not need to round the corners on that as well. Basically, all of your matting and your card base are the pieces that you need to round the corners on. So let's start stacking. The first piece we're going to do is the Whisper White to our card base, and I'm just using multi-purpose liquid glue for pretty much all of this today. You can use snail, or you can use fast fuse if you don't want to use the liquid glue. Then the next thing you'll do is take your pink pirouettes and your Tasty Treats designer series paper, and you're going to want to adhere that to this mat. Then we're going to pop this up off the card with dimensionals, and it'll take a few because I don't want the center of the card to get smushed or to sag. So I'm putting quite a few on here because it is sort of a large surface to be popping up off the card. Doesn't that look pretty already? I am in love with it. And you know something? This just hit me too. What I've got going on here would be absolutely perfect for a baby shower gift card. Yes, indeedy. Okay, so we got that done. I'm going to just sit this aside for a moment, and we're going to cut out our ice cream cone, and I'm just going to use my stamping trimmer to do that with. You can just use a pair of scissors. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to use your stamping trimmer, and then I'll cut the other side with scissors. So what I'm going to do, I know this is 1.5 inches. Half of 1.5 inches is 3/4. So I'm going to line my DSP up here on 3/4 of an inch mark. I'm going to move my cutting blade out of the way. I'm going to come down here and just make a little bitty mark with the scoring blade, and you probably won't see it, but I can see that. So then where the cutting track is, and I did a video yesterday and demonstrated this same kind of thing, so it may be a repeat for some of you, but where I made that little mark on the center of my paper, I'm going to line that up where the cutting track is, and then this corner I'm going to line up in the track as well. And then I always pop my blade down into a portion of the paper, because if you try to come up here and cut starting at this corner, it's gonna mess your paper up. So I always just do it like that, start in the middle, and then I don't have to worry about it. But if you don't want to use your stamping trimmer, then let me get bigger scissors. So you can certainly make that mark and then just trust your eyeball to cut straight up there like that. So either way is fine, whichever way you're comfortable doing it. Now I don't want a real sharp point on the bottom of this ice cream cone, so I'm going to come in about 1/8 of an inch and snip that off. Now we're going to do some shadowing on this ice cream cone, and you're going to do that with your chocolate chip ink. And then I have somewhere over here a sponge that is dedicated to this color, so I'm just going to dip the corner of my sponge in there. Then I dab a little bit off, and then I'm going to come in here and just swirl around in circles and just bring some of this color in just on the edges of this paper. Your layering circles framelit dies, you're going to be using this one here, which is actually the third from the smallest. So this is the smallest, this is the next one up, this is the third from the smallest. So I'm going to just pop that in the corner there and run this through my Big Shot. We're going to be using a punch for the other circles. I'm going to need an additional piece of Whisper White, and this piece needs to be about 3 inches wide by about 4.5 inches tall. And what that is going to be used for is the backing around our ice cream. Okay, so we got our ice cream cut out. Now I'm going to grab my 1/2 inch circle punch, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut some strips that I can run through this punch. And I'm just going to cut out 10 or 12 of them, quite a few. Now I may not necessarily use them all, but I want to have them available if I decide that I do want to use them all. So we're going to do some more sponging on this, and we're going to use Melon Mambo, and then I have a sponge dedicated to this color. So what you're going to want to do with this is, first of all, we're going to do our large ice cream cone, and I'm going to bring this one in for reference, and I'm going to do the same process that I did on the cone, and I'm going to just dip my sponge in my ink and then work off the paper around the edges. While we've got this color out, we're going to go ahead and do some of the same thing to these. But because they're so small, you can do this a couple of ways. Sometimes I'll just take like the point of my scissors and just hold the cardstock in place and take my sponge and do the same process with that, which I find to be the quickest and easiest way to do it. Or you can just take your sponge and dab it like that, but then your paper has a tendency to move, so I like just holding it with the tip of my scissors or maybe a bone folder or something. I'm going to get my Whisper White, and I'm actually going to move to a clean section of paper because I don't want to drag any of that ink into the white. And what you'll do is basically the same thing. You're going to dip the corner of your sponge in your white, and then that's the dark portion on the bottom. I'm going to dab a little bit off so that it's not too much color going in at one time, and I'm just going to smish that around kind of in that light area that I left. Now these that we colored, I'm going to do the same thing with these, but let me show you how I'm going to do that. I'm not going to lay it down flat because that way I'm going to get way too much of this white on there. I'm going to hold it with my tweezers and then just come in and put some white on there just right on the edges. Actually, I did that one upside down. I want my dark color on the bottom, and I want my light color where I didn't put any ink. So I've got all of those done. Now I'm going to do some splattering. So I'm going to bring in all of these little pieces that I have inked, and then the larger one, and I have my aqua painter, aqua pen, whatever it's called, I cannot remember. And I'm going to make sure that I have plenty of water, and that water is, the brush is not clean, so I'm going to wipe that off, get any of that residual color I had in there out. Okay, get a little puddle of water going there, and I'm going to come in here and pick up some of this white. Then I'm just going to tap it like this and get those sprinkles of white going onto all of these little pieces in here. You can put as much or as little as you like. Now I'm going to wipe my brush off and get that white out of there. Grab my Melon Mambo. Get plenty of water in there. Then do the same thing with this. Actually, I think I want those a little bit darker. So this just gives your card or your little ice cream cone the look that there are little bits of strawberries and maybe nuts or something in there. I just think that it looks adorable. Or of course, if it's for a child, it's not going to be strawberries and nuts, it's going to be candy and sprinkles. So what you're going to do, these are damp, and you can do one of two things. You can either grab your heat tool and dry them a little bit quicker, or you can just leave them sitting aside for about 5 minutes and come back to it later. So what I think I'm going to do is just sit these aside and work on creating the sentiment here on the card. Now, I was going to show you how I got a curved stamp. Sorry, I'm grabbing a piece of scrap paper again. I wanted to show you how I got a stamp that is curved onto my block and made it straight. What you'll want to do is put your block on top of something that has some straight lines on it, like maybe grid paper or a ruler or something like that. And then I'm going to use, I just have a little piece of scrap paper over here. I'm going to lay that down where I can see a straight line beneath this paper. Take my stamp, lay it on top, oops, I'm doing it upside down, lay it on top of my acrylic block. These little boogers like to stick to your fingers too, so I'm going to get that stuck in the middle. Then I'm going to just work with it, bring it down and make sure that it's going, the letters are going straight, and I'm using my paper as a guide to make sure that everything is straight. And it will take a minute. You just have to fiddle with it just for a few seconds to get everything straight. Then stick that down really good. Now that should be relatively straight. So what I want to share with you now is a technique that I've seen recently called ghost stamping, and it's really a very cool technique, and I wanted to be able to share it with you. I've seen a lot of different people doing this, and so anyway, let me show you how it's done. And not that I am a pro at it, I've only done this a couple of times and still kind of learning myself, but I wanted to show you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with my black ink first, just because I feel like when I stamp with my Melon Mambo I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. So stamp your first ink, then I'm going to clean this off, then I'm going to come back in with my Melon Mambo, get that inked up, and I'm going to try to stamp on top of where I just stamped, but slightly to the left and down just a little bit. There. So that is called ghost stamping. Very cool technique. Let's go ahead and get all of our labels punched out. So I'm just going to center that up, and I did see that I let my E get slipped up when I cleaned my stamp. So punch that out. Then you're going to punch a couple, whoops, a couple from the Sweet Sugar Plum, and I'm just punching close to the edge and then turning this same piece of paper back around and punching my second one. What you can see that I've done here is I've just layered each of these little banners that I've cut out in such a way that you can kind of see all the different papers and then the DSP. So I want to build from the top down, if that makes any sense. So what I'm going to do is take my Celebrate and my liquid multi-purpose glue, and I'm going to put a little bit on the back and toward the bottom. Then I'm going to stick that on top of my DSP. And I'm going to have my DSP down about 1/8 of an inch and then off to the right a little bit. The next color I'm going to do is going to be my Pool Party cardstock. And I'm just going to put glue at the bottom of that DSP. Then kind of do the same thing here. Stack that up just like that. Then my 2 pieces of Sweet Sugar Plum. I'm going to run some glue on the top of this one and the bottom of this one. That one will go about right here. And then this one will go about right there. Oopsie, I have a little glue on my fingers. So while that glue is setting up just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and grab my enamel, metallic enamel embellishments, and get a couple of these little round pieces off of here. I'm going to put one right down here, and I'm pretty much just putting it kind of to the bottom portion of the E and then on top of the Designer Series paper. Then let me grab a second one off of here, and I'm going to put it sort of above the C to the left. So just get a couple of those on there. I just felt like the card needed a little bit of something shiny on it. So let me go ahead and grab this and see if our ice cream has dried, and yes it has. So let's get all of these pieces over here and we will build our ice cream cone. I'm just going to do that with my liquid glue also. So I'm going to flip my ice cream cone over. Then I know that I want all the dark shadowing toward the bottom and the light color on the top, and stick that cone right there on top of my ice cream. Then I'm just going to take these different little pieces here and I'm just going to start laying them out. I'm just putting a dot of glue, and what you'll want to keep in mind is that, let me pick this up and show you so hopefully you can see it better. The dark portion, you want that to go toward the bottom, and the light you want on top for shadowing effects. So I'm just picking up different pieces, and the first thing that you'll want to do is probably put your 2 outermost pieces on first. Get those where you want them, and then work inwards from there. I don't feel like I need anything else on there. So at this point what we're going to do is put some of our multi-purpose liquid glue on the back of our ice cream cone. Then stick that down to our piece of Whisper White. I'm going to let that sit for just a few seconds for that glue to grab. Then take your scissors and you're just going to cut around this ice cream cone, leaving about a 1/16 of an inch all the way around the cone and the ice cream. Now we've got that cut out. At this point you'll want to put some dimensionals on the back of your ice cream cone, and I just run 3 straight down the middle. Then attach your ice cream cone in the center of your Designer Series paper matte. And see, that white background around there really helps that ice cream cone kind of pop up off the paper. Then you'll want to put your banner down next, or your sentiment, and I'm going to use the dimensionals to do that too, because we've got quite a few pieces of paper stuck together here, as well as the ice cream cone being stuck to your card with dimensional. You'll want to put dimensionals on the back of your sentiment to adhere it also. Here's today's card that I wanted to share with you. Strawberry and chocolate ice cream. Does it get any better than that? Make sure that you sign up for my newsletter, because I give all my new subscribers a free tutorial that's exclusive only to you when you sign up for the newsletter. I also wanted to make mention that the 3 new items, which is a part of Celebration, are going to be available starting on the 21st. And those items are the Glimmer Paper Assortment Pack, the Reverse Words Stamp Set, and the Mega Medallion Stamp Set. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I've already got mine because I'm a demonstrator and I'm allowed to order them early, and they're awesome. So I hope you guys have a great day and you've enjoyed the tutorial, and I will talk to you soon.